channel. My name is Ioana and I am an interpreter, and I'm creating a video right now answering the question of Oksana. This video, I believe I will put it for members only. Maybe in the future I will publish it, I'm not sure. Apology, I'm not making a live, but I have something with my computer happening, so it's gonna be a video, Oksana answering your question. Before I start, if you are a member, there is a community tab. If you click on my YouTube channel, I believe if you look on the horizontal line, there would be called community. And if you click on the community tab, you can write a question or comment there. Or when I post a video, you can ask your questions so I can address those questions. I do normally make a video once a month to answer your questions. Sometimes if I find a question very interesting, I would make a video and make it public. So that's about members. If you're not member, you can subscribe for $3.99 and you're gonna have a weekly vocabulary terminology grill exercise that I do with myself, and you're gonna do it with me. And this is members only $3.99. You're gonna be able to ask questions. And then if you are a member for $7.99, you will see a lot of information about the job interviews, including you're gonna be able to see the information that $3.99 get, and you will be able to see different information that I publish on a weekly basis regarding job interviews, companies, works, different things that I experience as an interpreter. Said that, the question is, Oksana asked me, may a company ask you to provide a certain amount of hours daily or weekly? Usually they ask you on a weekly basis if you are contracted as an independent contractor or a freelancer. The answer is yes. A lot of companies try to do this with people that doesn't have experience as interpreters, and there is a few hooks behind that. I talk a little bit about this in the video where I talk about Stratos video. I will link it above here if you haven't seen it. I talk about some strategies there. So this question involves two parts. One is legal and one is your freelancer right. My system is ringing, but I would let it ring. So legally, this is a very controversial situation, because if you are contracted as an employee, which means that you will receive all the benefits and you will have a certain schedule or shift, and you will be paid certain amount independently how busy your shift is. You're still gonna be paid this amount independently if you work or not. If you're contracted as an employee, one of your obligation legally stipulated in the contract is that you are going to have an obligation to be available for certain period of time, and you're gonna be paid for this period of time independently if there is work or not. So talking as a language provider, the freelance interpreter and contracted interpreter, the difference is legally. If you talk the same amount of hours, let's take 3 hours freelancer and 3 hours full-time. The person who is contracted for 3 hours full-time versus the person who is contracted for these 3 hours as a freelance. So the full-time person will have benefits, which would mean health insurance, dental insurance, I don't know, medical insurance, PCP covered, then the employee will have guaranteed salary, independent if he's gonna work on this 3 hour or not gonna work on this 3 hour. And then he's gonna have something here called 401k or pension plan, if you want to call it, match 1 by 1. A lot of companies pretend that they provide you 401k, but you have to work 600 hours until this 401k kick, and before you do 600 hours a year, the year is over and you can never reach 401k here with those companies that I read some of those contracts. So this is a trick. But let's say that you're the employee and you get these 3 hours and you get this benefit, you get 401k, you get a sick pay, and you get a vacation time, so-called PTO, 1 week a year paid, which means paid time off. Normally is in with the form with 40 working hours. Said that, if you are an employee, you will have an obligation to work certain period of time in the schedule that you're scheduled for. So you're gonna have some limits, which means you're gonna have less freedom as an employee. But you're gonna have a sure salary. The problem with this in the language industry is that if you go with a sure salary, a lot of those companies that pretend that they give you full time off, they offer you the minimum salary in the state, which is $18 per hour. If you are language provider part-time and they will tell you that you have these benefits, they will give you $18 an hour to provide those services as a language, these 3 hours. And they will tell you, don't worry, it's easy, don't worry, may not be busy. You're still gonna get paid. They always tell you, oh, if there is no work, you're still gonna get paid. You're still gonna get paid these 3 hours, let's call it a day. But the payment will be, let's call it that it's gonna be, and I'm just counting for 3 hours. It's gonna be $46 for these 3 hours. But the reason why the payment is 46 is because of these additional eventual benefits that you are going to receive, because you're gonna be obliged to follow certain rules and represent this company and serve them. You're gonna be there, let's call it a slave for these 3 hours, no? Let's look the legal position of a freelancer or contractor. A contractor, legally stipulated, is only obliged to provide services, and if you are a freelancer, independent contractor, for the time you provided the services. So let's say that I stipulated for you interpreting contract with you, Oksana, and I told you once again it's gonna be up to 3 hours of services that I need, but you're gonna be independent contractor, which means that, imagine my wall break, you're gonna get the money when you fix it. Compared to the employee is gonna get $46 even if he doesn't fix the law, just because he's gonna be there. You independent contractor, physically and literally mathematically, will be paid only when you fix the wall, or in this situation, when you speak languages. So there is 2 tricks when you get contracted as an independent contractor. Number 1, you get contracted per minute, you get contracted OPI, VRI, over the phone, medical and legal, or per hour. So let's start per minute. If you are freelance contractor per minute, usually you gonna receive money for the moment that you answer the phone. Not from the time you get contracted and the week start, Monday 8 o'clock, from 8 to 11, you're gonna receive $18 an hour. No, for the contractor, you're gonna start receiving the money from the moment the phone ring, if it's telephonic. And if the phone ring at 11:01, you're gonna be paid from the moment the phone ring until you hang up the phone. This period of time is gonna be when you're gonna be paid. But as your freelance contractor, it's up to your responsibility to establish your expenses, your time to drive, so you have to include all these benefits that you're not gonna receive because you're not employee anymore. You have to include it in your price as a freelance contractor. Why I'm saying this, because a lot of people try to get this contract and they agree to work for $18, but then after they pay their taxes, the federal and state taxes, and after they start paying for medical, vision, and dental, they are broke, literally, before they even start working. So having in mind that when you are just a contractor or a freelancer, you would have zero additional benefits besides the amount that you agree to sell yourself for. I will tell you, do not sell yourself cheap, because once you sign this contract, there is almost nobody that is gonna raise your payment. Yes, here in America they should raise it every year, but a lot of those companies does not raise it. Even if you ask them, they try to put you down, to criticize you, tell you you do a bad job or something like that. They would do anything so you don't ask for more money. That's why you have to be smart in the beginning and make sure that whatever request you do hourly will include your Wi-Fi bill. If you're gonna do it over the phone, your telephone and Wi-Fi bill. You gotta include those extra expenses, because if you're an employee, they provide you with the computer, with the Wi-Fi, and with the phone. Perfectly talking. As a freelance, that's your own business. And you as an intelligent being have to calculate those expenses inside of your freelance contractor agreement. The minute one is the one that people sell themselves cheap because they, oh yeah, it's from home, whatsoever. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Actually, telephonic interpreter could be very tricky, especially for the emergency. The video remote interpreting usually should be charged $10 more than the telephonic, because you have to look good, you have to dress up and sit in front of the camera and speak. Normally people doesn't know this, and they sell the video remote at the same price. The video remote is paid more by the government, is paid more everywhere on earth. And if you're gonna do video remote, I advise you to ask for higher price. Hourly, telephonic or video remote. Me personally, in order to schedule me, you have to guarantee that you're gonna pay me for the time you schedule me. I had a client, Siracom, they would schedule me and there would be never ever be a call. I am not willing to wait on the phone if you're not gonna pay me. So usually I ask for hour and a half of minimum. The reason why is because I have to enter before to wait. I have to turn off my devices and wait for this specific client. And usually they ask you to wait 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after the time. Sometimes they ask you to wait 30 minutes whatsoever. For me, if you want me to wait, I am expecting you to pay me. This is the truth. So the hourly rate should be paid full time, not per minute. Just have in mind. And VRI, I ask minimum of 2 hours. I'm not gonna sit, look beautiful for nobody that doesn't wish to pay me for that. In person, freelance interpreting, I repeat, I am asking 3 hours of a minimum, both legal and medical. Because the time that you're gonna spend to drive here in the USA or take the bus or whatsoever, you're gonna lose half day. And you deserve to be paid for that. The gas, the parking, all of this must be paid. Not like Saucy, that they don't want to pay you any dime and they send you to this location that your parking lot is costing $20 an hour and you're getting total $30 an hour. How you gonna cover your expenses? This you gotta think smart. So I'm giving you these details because in the end I will tell you why company asks you to do this. So simultaneous and legal, once again, they should be paid way more than these first categories that I mentioned here. Medical should be paid more, workers' comp should be paid more, and so on. So you gotta know like your field, right? So any company can ask you to guarantee availability. But the difference between the employee and the contractor is that you're not gonna be paid for being available. You're not paid for being available. That's why as a freelancer, I advise you to have more than one client. I personally have a lot of clients, I say 20, 25. With some of them, I work 3 times a year, with some of them one, with some of them every day. I have my favorites that I provide services for, and then I have those that I want to speak languages for, and it's not about the money. So I have, in a base of my needs, I have different clients. I have clients that I would love to provide service for, like domestic violence centers, where I do it for free. I have clients, dental, medical, vision, whatsoever, that I do it for money. And then there is a lot of different clients that I do it for money. Some of them have interesting calls. That, for example, this is Cultura Link for me right now. I do emergency calls every day for them. ICU, intensive care unit, or emergency. They are new, and I enjoy doing this. So the other companies that I was doing for 1 year, I let them drop a little bit. I'm talking about TransPerfect because they are boring to me. The clients are ignorant, the providers are at the same level, apology. And so it's very difficult to drop your level, not only, but they pay you less money. TransPerfect, although they are billion of revenue. So said that, I have companies in Canada I provide service for, and I enjoy providing those services because Canadian people are very well mannered, and I really enjoy working with them. So it's not like I receive huge amounts of money from these companies, but I'm happy, to provide those services. So you have to diversify your clients. I would call your market, but in this case is your clients. So if you want to have one client that you provide 15 hours services for them in order to have some mental stability, you can go with it. But have in mind that this stability is also going to be financially disadvantaged for you. The request, where a company requests you to do certain hours as a freelancer, legally is not appropriate. Because as a freelancer, if they request you to be available for this X hour, legally they should pay you for those hours. So let's say a company requested me, this happened to me not long ago, actually, I should make a video for it. They requested me to provide, I believe it was 29 hours of Russian. Oksana, you do speak Russian, so I bet you ask about Russian because you probably had companies that ask you to provide full-time Russian or part-time. 29, they said between 29 and 35 hours, and you can provide more if you like to. And the payment is, I want you to guess it, $18. Okay. So let's say you provide $18, you agree to provide this interpretation for 30 hours. Normally they ask 30. This is how much they need. That's gonna be 540 per week, and I will put it approximately you're gonna earn $106,600 lucky if you're lucky, but this is with the minimum, right? Per month. Let's say that you have the problem is this. I will tell you what's the problem. The problem is that if you agree to sell yourself so many hours for $18, you're gonna be burned out and you're not gonna be able to provide more services for a higher price. So I just calculated how much is gonna be if you sell your services for $30 an hour, which is a reasonable price for this language combination, $30 an hour. If you're in the UK, it's between 20 and 25 pounds, a reasonable price I'm giving you right now. Some people try to lie that they receive 50 pounds in UK, they don't. They do receive between 20 and 25 pounds or euros if you want. This is a reasonable price and normally they get paid per day. So I'm calculating in dollars, but I'm giving you price also in pounds because I know you're in the UK, Oksana. So let's say that you, instead of that, you decide to do 30 hours as a freelance, that it should be. It's $3,000. It's almost $2,700, which is double or triple than that. But I will tell you, I usually sell. I sell my Russian for $35 and up. Talking about OPI, VRI, and so on. Yes, I do have 3 master degrees and whatsoever, and the trainings and all these things that are not really. The masters did help me, but I don't want to say that some of those trainings are useful. But yes, they help your prestige and your reputation, but they don't teach you as much. But I will tell you that I don't advise you, if it's American company, to agree for less than. Me personally, I would not work full time or X hours, 15 or 20, for less than $30 an hour. No matter how they call it legally. They can call it employee, freelance contractor. The matter of the fact is that this job is worth way more. I just want you to know that some of those companies that contract with you, they sell you services for $200 an hour, 120. Depends where you provide it. So don't feel ashamed to ask for $30. It's not a crazy amount. $25 in pounds, 25 euros or 25 pounds is a reasonable money for what you're gonna do. But I personally think that if you sell yourself for X hours, more than 10 hours a week, I would do 10 hours to 15 hours a week for a minimum payment. No, I wouldn't. I'm lying to you. But really, if I needed, I would. If I was really desperate, yes. But I try to get out of the desperation mindset because it brings you down. But let's say that you really need this $300 a week. It's 10 hours for $30. And you can do it for 10 hours. You're still going to have time and energy to have a normal client that will pay you a reasonable price. Correct? They can ask you, but it's not legally appropriate because you are a freelancer. So, if they pay you the desired salary, they can ask you, but they cannot oblige you because you are a freelancer. You could say, okay, ma'am, I can provide you as a freelancer X amount of hours for this money that you're willing to pay me. Is that okay with you or not? Except to you to know your rights, except to you to know your limits, except to you to know how little you are willing to sell yourself for. But usually they request you minimum hours weekly, and the hours that they request you are enough hours to burn you out, to burn your brain out and make you unable to provide services for other companies or organizations, or be mentally tired and exhausted. And so whatever the amount of hours they ask you as a minimum, if it's more than 25, I would tell you that I want you to calculate. I want you to calculate if it's 20 hours, how much money you're going to do a week. And if it's 20 hours and the month's going to be $360 a week, I want you to calculate how much you pay for your home office, for your electricity, for your Wi-Fi, for your bill, and for your food. And I want you to see if this amount of money they paying you will cover your expenses. And in the base of your expenses, you can determine if this is a reasonable payment or somebody is trying to take advantage of you. Unfortunately, companies do ask some people to do this. I normally ask people to work on a project, and we do work on a project, and I extend the project and I break it with the time. Yes, I want to finish certain things for certain period of time, but the matter of the fact is that yes, I do pay $30. I do. But I'm expecting you to deliver maximum. I give you more time, but I want you to give me the perfection, the best of what you can. And if you don't give me the perfection, I know this, and I'm not gonna hire you a second time. So if somebody restricts you in time, they want the quantity. They want you to work as much as you can for as lowest price as you can. I want you to calculate this lower payment that this company offer you, if it's good enough to cover your expenses. If yes, you decide if you want to do it or not. But I will tell you that legally they cannot oblige you. But they have the right to terminate the contract anytime they want because you're contractor or not offer you any services. I have this company TransPerfect that is trying to play this game on me right now. The last 6 months I noticed. They would not send me any calls, or then they would send me, super load me. They play these games that Serocom play, and I just look for another client to provide a Russian because I honestly get a little bit tired of those games. Said that if it's a company that you enjoy to work with, if it's a company that you please to work with, they can recommend you to work certain hours, and they can tell you, okay, you're a freelance, just letting you know, we need interpreters from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Are you willing to do this schedule? Normally, they can request, but they cannot require you because you can always say no. Although I think I would make a video for one of my clients and share this experience with you so you would understand. Another point of view could be that they just try to beat your payment down, telling you that you will have guarantee hours. I want you to think one more thing. If they ask you to work certain amount of hours, you're going to be busy those amounts of hours. This is the truth. If you're the cheapest interpreter, you're going to be the most busy one. And if you're the only interpreter, you're going to be busy all these hours that they request you. So if they say, oh, we give you $18, but maybe it's not busy, maybe you just sit there and we pay you. This is too good to be true. Trust me. If they ask you to work 5 hours a day, they're gonna make you sweat those 5 hours. And after this, I want you to imagine that you have the hardest mental illness calls that you can imagine, and medical emergency calls when you imagine one after another for 5 hours that you cannot get up to go to the restroom, you cannot do anything on your own, but you gotta be there on the phone, on the screen. If you're still gonna do it, then you're gonna be happy in the worst case scenario. Just have this in mind. Legally, they cannot oblige you. They simply can tell you, okay, we are not interested to work with you or provide services for us or anything like that. That's my tips, Oksana. Thank you and bye-bye.